Did your cat ignore you when you called them, but somehow appear within seconds when you opened a bag of treats? Did they wake you far too early and walk across your keyboard, sit directly in front of the television, or demand that you open a door, and then just stand there deciding whether they actually wanted to go through it? Maybe you remember thinking, would you please stop doing that? But now your pet is gone. And what surprises you is this: you miss all of this. You may even think, I would give anything for you to annoy me one more time. Then guilt may creep in. Why was I so annoyed? Why didn't I appreciate those moments more? Did my cat know how much I loved them? Maybe you are even ashamed to admit that sometimes your cat really did test your patience. Maybe you are ashamed to talk about the pain of losing your cat. If you are struggling with those feelings, this video is for you, and I can help. Hello there, I'm Joanne Berg. I'm a therapist with more than 20 years of experience and a certified grief educator. One of the areas that I specialize in and feel passionate about is pet loss and bereavement. I've been there. I created this channel because grief following the death of a beloved animal is often minimized or misunderstood. Not here. Here, your grief is recognized without judgment. There is no right way to grieve, only your way. So if you came to this channel, you may be grieving over your beloved cat. Please stay as I talk about why you may miss behaviors that once annoyed you, how guilt and shame can enter grief, what research tells us about cats and mixed feelings, how a current loss can touch older emotional wounds, and how grief education and counseling may help. I'll also share a client experience. The bottom line here is that loving a cat does not mean loving every single thing your cat ever did. The cat and their actions are separate. So after someone we love dies, ordinary memories can change meanings. When your cat was alive, being awakened at 5 in the morning may have been genuinely irritating. You were tired, but your cat wanted breakfast, but you wanted sleep. There was nothing sentimental about it, but now you wake up at 5 in the morning and the room is quiet. No one is pawing at you, meowing, or walking across your chest. Suddenly you think, I wish you would wake me up. What changed? Not necessarily the memory. The context changed. You are no longer remembering that behavior from inside everyday life with your cat. You are remembering it from inside their absence. Sometimes the very thing we wanted to stop becomes evidence of the life that used to fill our home. Maybe you really were annoyed, and that's okay. Your cat scratched the furniture, knocked things off the counter, refused expensive food, meowed incessantly, or would not let you sleep. Maybe you lost your patience or shut the bedroom door because you desperately needed sleep. After your cat dies, those ordinary moments can become guilt. How could I have been annoyed? Why didn't I realize how little time we had? Sometimes this guilt becomes shame. You may think, if I really loved my cat, shouldn't I have appreciated every moment? No, that is not how real relationships work, with animals, with humans for that matter. You can adore your cat and still wish they would not wake you up at 5 in the morning. You can treasure them and still feel frustrated when they scratch your new chair. You can miss them terribly and remember needing space. Two things can be true at the same time. You loved your cat, and sometimes your cat annoyed you. One does not cancel out the other. I cite research as it underscores what you may already know, and it shows that you are not alone, although it may feel that way sometimes. And that, too, is unfortunately a normal part of grieving because it is so, so hard. So, research into cat owner relationships shows that these relationships are complex rather than one-dimensional. Studies have identified differences in emotional investment, a cat's need for closeness, acceptance of other people, independence, and aloofness. In other words, a relationship with a cat can include affection and distance, closeness and independence. That matters in grief. You may have adored your cat and also been frustrated when they ignored you. You may have loved their independence and treasured it and sometimes wished, though, that they were more affectionate and cuddly. Mixed feelings do not erase the bond. They can reflect the real complexity and deepness of the relationship you shared. Bereavement research also suggests that what we bring into a loss can influence how we experience it. Previous losses, trauma, and attachment patterns may become relevant. Sometimes losing your cat touches something older, another loss, a feeling of being abandoned or alone, or an old belief such as, I wasn't good enough, or I should have done better. That does not necessarily mean your cat's death caused these older feelings. This significant loss may have activated something that was already there, but maybe not resolved. It can help to ask, how much of what I am feeling is about this loss? And what else might this loss have touched? Putting these things into words instead of free floating may help. Now, I'm going to call my client Laura. I changed the name and everything for privacy. So Laura came to counseling after her cat died. She loved him deeply, but she could not stop thinking about how impatient she had sometimes been. Her cat woke her very early. He would meow, jump onto the bed, walk across her, and if that did not work, knock things off the bedside table. Laura told me it really tested my patience. After he died, she still woke up at approximately the same time, but now there was silence. She said, I can't believe I used to get angry with him. I would give anything for him to wake me up now. Laura did not come to talk to me because she wanted someone to make her stop missing her cat. She came because she could not stop judging herself. And this crept into other areas of her life. She kept asking over and over again, was I a bad cat parent? Did he know I loved him? I helped her shift the question within her own time from why was I annoyed to what was happening in that moment. Maybe she was exhausted from work. Maybe she had an important meeting that was causing her anxiety the next morning. Maybe he had already awakened her several times. In other words, she was human. Then I asked her to tell me stories that made her smile. Interestingly enough, many involved the same behaviors that once annoyed her. The demanding of breakfast, the selective hearing, knocking things over, and choosing a cardboard box over an expensive cat bed. Slowly, those memories became less like evidence against her and more like stories about who her cat was, his personalities, his quirks, and his place in her life. Grief does not require you to rewrite your relationship. Your cat did not become perfect because they died, and you do not have to become a perfect cat parent in your memories. Maybe your cat was stubborn, demanding, or aloof. There are also moments of warmth, watching them purr contentedly near you, seeing their familiar routines, and simply sharing your home. You may think, if I had known how little time we had, I wouldn't have been annoyed. Of course, but you didn't know, and how could you know? We live relationships forward and understand them differently when we look backward. You are not living every ordinary Tuesday thinking, someday my cat won't be here, so I must appreciate his incessant meowing. You were living your life. Your cat was living theirs. Together, you had a real relationship. I didn't appreciate every moment, but I loved my cat through all of them. Sometimes grief puts the relationship on trial. One impatient moment can suddenly feel larger, and then thousands of moments of care and love. Counseling, usually 1 or 2 discussions, can offer a safe place to talk about the whole relationship, not to erase memories or tell you what you should feel, but to help you look at what you actually do feel without shame. You can say, maybe, you may end up saying, I adored my cat, but sometimes they tested my patience, and both can be true. Sometimes saying that out loud without judgment can bring relief. So maybe your cat ignored you, woke you up, scratched the furniture, walked across your keyboard, or demanded that a door be opened and then refused to walk through it. And perhaps today you would give almost anything to be annoyed by them one more time. Try not to turn those memories into evidence that you failed your cat. They may be evidence that you had a real relationship filled with personality, routine, frustration, laughter, and a great deal of love. You are allowed to miss your cat. You are allowed to laugh about your cat. You are allowed to remember being annoyed with your cat. And you are allowed to feel all of this at the same time. So if guilt or shame is making it difficult to remember the whole relationship you shared and is clouding over your life, or if this loss has activated feelings from your past, you do not have to sort through those feelings alone. Sometimes we just need a safe place to tell the truth about the relationship we lost, the beautiful parts, the difficult parts, and everything in between. I can help you sort this out. Let's talk. Go to my website, petlossandbereavement.com, then simply click on Talk to Me. And before I go, I have a question for you. What did your cat do that used to really test your patience? And what would you give to have them do it just one more time? You can write about it in the comments. Also subscribe. Let's gently continue this discussion. So take care and see you next time. Or maybe I'll see you in the comments.